fellow Falcoholics. What is up? Welcome to a special interview edition of the Falcoholic Live. I'm your host, Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin on Twitter. Today I'm coming to you with a special exclusive interview with UTSA edge rusher Charles Wiley. Appreciate Charles for taking the time to come on. Charles is a rising sleeper on day 3 of the NFL draft. I had a chance to actually watch his tape. Like it a lot. I think this is a potential sort of sneaky guy, sort of in the same mold of like an Ogundeji for Falcons fans. A guy with good measurables, good length, good athleticism, very strong, sort of a prototypical 3-4 outside linebacker, someone who maybe could develop into a third edge, a rotational guy, maybe an eventual starter as well. So definitely someone for fans to keep an eye on. As he discloses in the interview, Wiley has had some interest from the Falcons. He's been invited to their local pro day. He is a Georgia native, so it'd be cool to see. Obviously, Wiley end up in Atlanta. We don't know how that's going to go, but he was nice enough to sit down and talk with me a little bit about his time in college and his game. So I hope you enjoy this interview as well, as much as I enjoyed talking to him. So without further ado, guys, enjoy my chat with UTSA edge rusher Charles Wiley. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Kevin Knight, your host at Falcoholic Kevin, joined today by UTSA edge rusher Charles Wiley. Charles, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good. Glad to have you. Now, I know your Instagram is at Charles Wiley 2. Do you have a Twitter?
No, I don't.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to leave that out. But yeah, guys, Charles is a prospect in the upcoming 2022 NFL draft from UTSA. Also played several years at Ole Miss. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. Charles, I'm sure you've had a very busy offseason thus far. Anything in particular you've been doing to help prepare for the draft this year?
Biggest thing is just making sure that whatever team calls me, whenever the opportunity may be, just making sure that I'm in the absolute best shape and just the best me that I could possibly be to just assure that, when I get there, I just go and get to work.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Speaking of that, what would you say some of your best traits are? What makes you stand out as a prospect in this class?
I think that I'm a great athlete. I think that I'm extremely fast, extremely explosive, but I think my work ethic is unmatched. After the bowl game, after we played this last season, I probably took, give or take, a week and a half off, maybe not even that, and just got to work. The biggest thing is I work day in and day out to just try and just get ahead of the game and just excel at everything that I do, whether it be film study, position work, getting my body correct. I just take everything extremely serious and just try to go out and just try to be the best me every day.
Yeah. Absolutely. That makes a ton of sense. Yeah. And we'll talk about, your athleticism because it's definitely a big calling card. You can see it on tape. Obviously you can see it in the times as well. We'll get to that. Did want to ask also, what's your favorite thing about playing football? Do there's obviously a lot that goes into it, but what's your sort of favorite part of being on a football field?
Just being able to test your manhood and just being able to test yourself as a person every day. Being able to go against all odds and still be able to prevail. You're not really supposed to look too far into the future, but looking into the future and, going through the grind of everything and then looking back in the future and being like, wow, I did that. I actually was able to achieve what, I set out to be able to do. I think football allows for you to do that kind of consistently because, that's just all it is. In the off season, it's where you as a football player is just trying to get better during the season. And then when you see, your hard work pay off, that's like one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. To get to actually see the work you put in get translated on the field into production.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cool. Yeah. Any particular players, NFL, college, or otherwise, that you model your game after?
At first, not really. I, just always look at the greats. You always look at your LTs, your DeMarcus Wares. You always look at those guys because they were like some of the biggest guys to start the foundation for the position that I am. The undersized defensive end, as a lot of people said before prior to them, but now it's a whole position as of today. But my old position coach actually, he coached Melvin Ingram, and he kept telling me, he's like, "Oh, you remind me of Melvin. You remind me of Melvin." And I didn't really. I'm not gonna say I didn't know Melvin Ingram, but I never studied his game. But once I studied his game, and I was like, "Wow, this dude, I really do kind of like follow after, in my opinion. Very versatile, extremely strong at the point of contact, extremely fast. You can put him anywhere on the field and he's gonna, do what he's supposed to do and ball out. So that's probably one of the biggest dudes, and probably like a Big Beasley. Always looked at his film ever since he was at Clemson. He was always just like a big dude. And I was always compared to him growing up. And it was all, those are probably the two guys I could say off the top of my head. Like try to model my game after.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Melvin Ingram was definitely someone came to mind for me when watching your film, because of the straight line speed, the explosiveness, and the power at the point of attack. So I definitely think that's a good one to model for sure. Yeah, I heard that the Falcons have shown interest. Also heard they invited you to their local pro day. Have you met with any specific coaches or staff members at this point, or just virtual meetings?
Not yet. They reached out to my agent and informed me about the local pro day. They also we also touched base after pro day, and just telling me how good I did at the pro day. Also, they can't wait to see me at the local pro day. As of right now, biggest thing is I'm just trying to, like you said, just get ready and just make sure that when the opportunity presents itself, I do good.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that pro day, this is a good time as any to bring up those numbers. The 4.51 40-yard dash, obviously incredible time for a defensive end. I don't know if you're familiar with, there's something called relative athletic score that a friend of mine, Kent LaPlatte, does. It basically takes all of your testing combined with your size metrics, and it spits out some numbers that basically quantify how good of an athlete you are, taking into account your size and all that. So if you're not familiar with it, it rates you as a 98 percentile athlete at your position. So obviously that's very good. And that's going to help for sure, because that sort of athleticism.
It was kind of funny leading up into pro day. A lot of teams expected me to run like a 4.8, 4.7s, just depending on what coach clocked me. Some coaches had me as low as a 4.46. Other coaches had me up to a 4.53. But at the end of the day, I know I ran fast, and I hope with if there was any doubt about my athleticism, I hope after pro day I showed that that you don't have to doubt that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Not a concern whatsoever. Yeah, speaking of local, I saw that you played your local high school ball at Stockbridge, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so how would it feel to get to come back home, play close to home at the NFL level?
That would be great. It's always cool, being able to, be around the environment that I grew up in. I remember growing up coming up as a kid, my father would get season tickets and would take turns taking me, my mom, and my little brother to games. And, I just remember, the Falcons, you drive everywhere, you see decals on everybody's cars with the Falcons on it. And it was, it's really close to home. It's really cool.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, were you a fan of any NFL teams growing up?
Not really, just because like I never I always I was always more of a fan of just like specific players more than just teams. Like just guys that always just stood out to me, and just were guys that were just players that always, I feel like were closely related to me. So, not really, no.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, speaking of early football years, have you sort of always wanted to pursue playing pro football, or were there any other big interests that you had growing up?
It was all football. That was
Yeah.
all it really was for me. Make sure I go to school and get my degree and play football. That was it. I don't really have any major side hobbies or hustles or anything like that. It's just all 100% football with me.
Yeah, and that's the thing at this stage of the game, is that it's just if you're not 100% focused and devoting 100% of your time, it's really hard to get ahead here. So,
No doubt.
yeah. Yeah, so I noticed during your college career you played 3 years at Ole Miss, and then transferred to UTSA for your senior and super senior seasons.
Right.
Any particular reason you chose UTSA? Also, how? Oh yeah, go ahead. Go with that first. Yeah.
My bad. I'm sorry.
No, you're
Cut you
good.
off.
You're good.
For me, it was more so my position coach ended up being my last position coach at Ole Miss ended up being the D coordinator here, and I had plenty of offers coming out of my transfer process, and just talking with my family, speaking with myself, speaking with my creator. I just thought that it would probably be the best idea to just try to stick with what I know. All the terminologies from Ole Miss were the same. All the everything was the same. So after a long, hard process of just trying to figure out what I should do, I thought that was me and my family all thought that would probably be the best situation for me. I hit the ground running. It wasn't hard for me to. I knew the playbook like the back of my hand. I knew multiple positions like the back of my hand. So I thought it would be the best fit for me.
Yeah, and that sort of answers my follow up, which was, how difficult was it to change teams, right in the middle of your career? But you said the terminology was the same, pretty much same there, so not too hard, I'm guessing.
Not hard at all.
Yeah, because I think you started like 11 games your first season at UTSA, and then all 14 the next year. So like clearly there wasn't too much of a break in period there. Well, that's great then. Yeah. Anything else unique, interesting about you that fans should know about?
Biggest thing is just I'm 100% devoted to whatever team gets me. Biggest thing for me is I'm a football player first. I'm a man first, but I'm a football player before anything. I try my best to be a stand-up person, a very good person to the ones around me. I'm not really more the biggest vocal leader, but I just try to do the things that be the person to other people that I would want to be treated, and also just try to show people that you can work hard and just be yourself, and you'll prevail in life.
Yeah, that all sounds great. Yeah, Charles, well, I really appreciate your time. Appreciate getting to know you a little bit better. Obviously, yeah, looking forward to seeing you at the local pro day. Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed for the Falcons, but I'm sure wherever you end up, they're going to be getting a great player. So thanks again for your time.
Good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.